What's up YouTube, Disintegon here, and today I'm bringing you guys the most detailed Devastation Evoker PvP guide for the War Within in Season 1. I'm going to be covering a bunch of different topic areas in this video, so I'm going to be bookmarking them off so you could browse them with ease if you're just looking for specific topics, such as if you're looking for gearing and embellishments, you could just skip right to that topic. Now with the topics that we're going to be covering in this video, we're going to start off by talking about the talents and builds that you should be running. Second, we're going to talk about the gearing, the embellishments, what you should be crafting, gems, enchants, the whole 9 yards. That's going to be in the gearing section, and after that we're going to be going over a concept called clipping and chaining and what that means for evokers. And once we're done with that, we're also going to be showing you some settings that you should enable that you may not know about yet, which allows your maneuverability from Scalecommander to become even more controllable. You could end up doing some cool little zigzag moves that people wouldn't be expecting, so definitely stay tuned for that part of the video. Next, we're going to be talking about the Devastation Evoker rotation when it comes to bursting and sustained damage, what your goals are when you're doing damage, and exactly how to play the build that I'm going to be providing you guys, which is a lot different than what any other evoker is playing. And most evokers are stuck in last expansion, and I'm going to show you exactly why once we get to this part of the video, so stay tuned for that as well. Once we're done showing you guys how the build works, how the rotation works, we're then going to be showing you guys the weak auras that I'm going to be using so that you guys can try to emulate what I do as well and know exactly what I'm tracking and why I'm tracking those weak auras. Once we're done with the weak auras, the last thing we're going to go over are just very helpful macros that you should be using if you want to climb up in rating for PvP as a Devastation Evoker. See, I always like telling people doing damage is super easy as a Devastation Evoker. However, if you want to really climb that rating, your utility is what really sets you apart from the rest. And these macros are just some macros I find very helpful, and hopefully you'll find helpful as well, to be able to use your utility more effectively. So with that, we're just going to get right to the video. If you want to see more content all about Evoker, make sure you drop that like, follow, and subscribe. And if you want to see me play live, ask me all types of different questions, make sure you go follow me at Disintegon TTV as well on Twitch. And with that, we're just going to get right to the video. Alright, we're going to begin with going over the talents and builds for the War Within for Devastation Evoker. I want this to be as detailed as possible, but I also don't want the video to be 2 hours long. So to cut some time, I'm going to just let you guys know what you actually need to know about the talent tree. I'm not going to read every single talent, but I am going to tell you guys what you actually need to know. So to start off, let's talk about the hero talents. You either have Flameshaper or Scalecommander. What you need to know is anyone telling you to play Flameshaper is trolling you. They have a bunch of delusion built up inside of them, a bunch of copium built up inside of them, and it's a waste of time. Flameshaper is just a gimmicky one-shot build. I mean, if you want to have fun doing that, go ahead, but if you actually want to climb up and get to the highest of ratings, you're going to want to play Scalecommander, as that's what's making Devastation Evoker so broken right now, so S tier. Devastation Evoker is an amazing spot for the War Within. Alright, now that you understand that we're going to be going with Scalecommander, let's break down what the Scalecommander tree brings you as a Devastation Evoker. So the first thing Scalecommander has to offer you is Mass Disintegrate. How Mass Disintegrate works is after you cast an empowered spell, which are your Eternity Surges and your Fire Breaths, your next Disintegrate cast will be a Mass Disintegrate. Mass Disintegrate is going to cleave the next 3 targets, and if there aren't 3 targets to cleave, for each missing target, your Disintegrate is going to do 15% more damage. So it's pretty insane how much damage you will be doing with Disintegrate. After that, it's going to go into Bombardments, and what Bombardments does is essentially strike your target for destruction, and for the next 6 seconds, these flying dragons are going to be flying over the air and basically dropping bombs on them, and it does massive damage. Also noteworthy to note that you and your allies have a chance to trigger these bombardments, so I couldn't recommend enough then to play with an aggressive healer who's doing a lot of damage, like a Discipline Priest, like a Preservation Evoker, because after the match, if you go back and see their damage done, you're going to notice that bombardments is one of their highest damages done, and it's pretty insane how much someone could benefit off of this passive effect. So I think this is making Devastation Evoker feel absolutely S tier, especially when you're already soloing people with Mass Disintegrate, and then you throw in these dragons that are dropping bombs to even more damage. You're going to see people's health bars absolutely evaporating. It's absolutely OP. So like I said, play with an aggressive healer because it's going to let you benefit from this the most. After that, we have Wing Leader. So bombardments reduce the cooldown of a deep breath by 1 second for each target struck up to 3 seconds. So essentially what that means is you're going to get cooldown reduction on your deep breath. And remember I said if all your teammates are doing damage, more bombardments are going to be striking, so you get even more cooldown reduction on your deep breath as well. So that's pretty nasty as well. I'll tell you, like most of the games I play, by the time I'm done with my Dragon Rage, I have another deep breath already. Like, it's really coming back within like 30 to 45 seconds most of the games. So like any talent that's letting you benefit off of anything of deep breath, like recall over here, like imminent destruction over here, is going to make these talents extremely good because you have such a short cooldown on your deep breath. Currently your deep breath cooldown is 1 minute, but when you start factoring in these bombardments, it literally goes down to like a 30 to 45 second period if you're playing my build. So I couldn't recommend that enough. After that, extend battle is pretty insane. So essence abilities extend bombardments by 1 second. So I never really feel like I need essence. So that's why I'm not going with diverted power. But extending these bombardments to go on longer and just getting that extra cooldown reduction on your deep breath is really insane. And essentially what your essence abilities mean are your disintegrates or your pyres, but because you don't really cast pyre in PvP, let's just call it disintegrate. So that's what you need to know there. After that, maneuverability is what lets you control your deep breath, and it's also going to apply a burn on the target that you hit. After that, what you really need to know as well is this melt armor over here. Your deep breath causes enemies to take 20% increased damage from bombardments and essence abilities. So it's really important, whoever you hit, the target that you hit, to be doing damage to them, because they're going to be taking this 20% extra damage from these essence and bombardments. So you want to make sure whoever you deep breath, you hit that target. Don't tab off to another target for whatever reason. Hit the target because you're going to be doing 20% more damage to them. Next we have hardened scales. Your obsidian scales is going to get 10% more damage reduction. This menacing presence is just the wrong pick. Do not never pick this. It's not good. After that, we have Slipstream or Nimble Flyer. Nimble Flyer is reducing AoE. You don't care about that in PvP. Slipstream is how you're going to want to go. Deep breath resets the cooldown of your hover. And again, you have really short deep breaths as well. So you're going to be using hover like all game long now. And that's really, really insane. Also noteworthy to note, Onslaught's going to give you an insta proc when you get into combat. And after 15 seconds of combat, your Disintegrate, Sylvan Flame, and Azure Strike do 15% more damage. So that's a quick breakdown of what Scalecommander brings you. I just want to let you know what you actually need to know about that Scalecommander build. Now we're going to talk about the left side of the tree. So essentially you have really 3 flex points that I typically play with and not explained out. But what's different here from my last PvP guide in Dragonflight is I've been using recall. I actually started playing it last expansion. And you have to waste 2 talent points in this innate magic, which kind of sucks. But the benefit from recall is insane, especially when you factor in now that you have a shorter cooldowns on your deep breaths. It makes this indispensable. Also, what's really noteworthy is back in Dragonflight, Devastation Evoker was like a really big glass cannon. Like you essentially would deep breath in and people would just like hard swap you all the time. They'll like, as soon as you land, they would stun you, and then you would have to trinket, and then you have to pop your Obsidian Scales, and then you have to pop your Renewing Blaze, and then sometimes you'll be dying through all of that, and then you have to waste rescue as well. So you'd have to waste 4 cooldowns all because you decided to press deep breath. It felt really, really, really bad. So that's why I started using recall. But now in the current meta, since you could control where your deep breath goes, normally you're flying to really bad spots in the map anyway. And to not screw over your healer with bad positioning, and to not put yourself in really bad positioning, I couldn't recommend using recall enough, so that you don't put yourself in a really bad spot just to get hard swapped on. So that's why recall is really, really good. And it also saves you, like I said, 4 different defensive cooldowns because you're not putting yourself in a bad spot. So I couldn't recommend more enough than to play recall. So then again, I have these 3 talent points up here, as you could see, of flex points, and this is kind of what I do with them. If I'm playing BG Blitz, I'm probably going with heavy wing beats and walloping blow. If I have a map like Arethe Basin or Eye of the Storm, why these are so good is it brings your wing buffet to a 45-second cooldown, and in those maps you could specifically knock people off the map, like at Lumber Mill and Arethe Basin. And Eye of the Storm, you can pretty much knock someone off the map almost anywhere, and Walloping Blow makes this knockback effect so far. It's actually pretty crazy how much this talent point adds to that knockback effect. So I couldn't recommend more enough than to play something like that. And then I probably just play with like an unravel, because there's probably a shield to pop eventually in the battleground. But yeah, it all depends on exactly what's in the battleground to what to pick for that last talent. But that's for Battleground Blitz. For Arena, because I'm mainly an arena player, if I'm facing double melee, I'm probably facing something like this, because you have so many hover cooldowns, and I really like Tailwind because you're getting that extra speed increase, and then you always have hovers up because of this deep breath as well. So this makes you like a really big slippery snake, and I couldn't recommend trying this out. If you feel like you're still dying though with this, then I would definitely recommend using Inherent Resistance and or Attune to the Dream effectively if you're not finding much success with this. But again, play what you think feels right. I couldn't stress that enough. Oops. But yeah, play what you think feels right. If you're ever going into a Death Knight, I highly recommend using Unravel, because Death Knights are Devastation's hard counter. I struggle into them all the time, and it's because you can't do any damage into AMS other than with your Living Flame and Azure Strikes. So you really need Unravel if you want to break through that AMS any little bit. So you're going to need to take Unravel. If you're new to Evoker and we're wondering about some other talents here, I'll just quickly explain them. I'm not going to go through every single talent, but I'm going to go through exactly what you need to know. First is Cauterizing Flame. So basically with Cauterizing Flame, you can remove bleeds and curses, so it's really effective versus assassination rogues with their death marks, feral druids with their frenzies. This is also really effective versus shamans with their hexes. A super sleeper one that people may not know, and this is higher skill cap, is probably decursing amplify curses. Really important to be doing that. Also, you can decurse a warlock's havoc, so before they have, like, a warlock would throw their havoc, and before they throw the mortal coil, get rid of that havoc, and then boom, they can't get a double mortal coil off. Then they can't get their chaos bolts or whatever the hell they're deciding to cast off either. So that's a super really good outplay mechanic to do. So just look out for that, because that's going to set you apart from the rest. Verdant Embrace, also really nice to be kiting around. Try not to really use it on yourself. If you're being trained, try to kite around with it instead. You're going to get way more value being able to make space than to use the heal on yourself. That's how I like to personally play. Time Spiral versus Spatial Paradox. Spatial Paradox is horrible. You get that extra 60-yard range, and so does your healer, but you know that 60-yard range is kind of like never worth it for the 10 seconds that you have it for 3 minutes that your healer will probably not even realize they could cast for 60-yard range as well. So definitely use Time Spiral instead, because whatever ability that this benefits offer them is going to glow in their bar, and they're going to know they have it. For instance, a priest is going to have an extra grip, a shaman is going to have an extra mortal aura mastery, a hunter is going to have an extra disengage, a warlock is going to have an extra portal. So it's really good to be able to use Time Spiral for that sake. Time Spiral is a whole nother defensive in itself. Think of it like that. If you ever need to hover because you really need to get away somewhere, pop that Time Spiral and boom, you're alive, because now you have a hover. Hovers are essentially a defensive, so you want to make sure you have as many hovers as you can. And that's essentially the whole tree here. Oh, last thing to mention, you have Terror of the Skies. If you're ever playing with a sub rogue and they're complaining about your stun DRs, I guess you could turn it off, but with the way Scalecommander is looking, I don't ever really recommend turning it off anyway. But that's just me. I feel like the stun is just so good. But yeah. So the main differences from Dragonflight is I'm no longer playing Scarlet Adaptation because I need to have the 2 talent points. So I dropped them from Ancient Flame and Scarlet Adaptation, so I could get the 2 talent points there to get down here. So that's the main change there as well. And then I really never, like, to be honest, I never really play Inherent Resistance or Attune to the Dream anymore. I've been like kind of just auto-locking this every single game unless there's a DK. I kind of do this. That's how I've been feeling, because I've been feeling really tanky anyway, where I don't need these anymore. But yeah, if it play whatever feels best for you, but I'm just telling you what I've been personally doing. And then I never play Forger of the Mountains. I think this is a really troll talent. Brutes take so long to break anyway. You don't need this. That's my personal opinion. Next, after that, we're going to talk about the right side of the tree. So with the right side of the tree, what you really need to know is how your Dragon Rage works. So basically, your Dragon Rage is going to make you benefit from your full mastery. After that, casting an empowered spell extends the duration of your Dragon Rage by 5 seconds up to the maximum of 20 seconds. So really important to know that you can Eternity Surge and Fire Breath to keep your Dragon Rage, your high burst cooldown, extending. So you really want to make sure you're tracking that properly and doing a proper rotation so that you could extend it so you can maximize your damage. That's what you need to know for Dragon Rage. And then, if you've been watching the biggest evoker poser, the man who's stuck in last expansion, you know exactly who I'm talking about. It's Coach JD. He's telling you and mind washing all of you evokers to play this Shattering Star and Arcane Vigor build. He's stuck in last expansion. This should not be the play. You know, that's why I'm making this PvP guide. This is the one reason I'm making a PvP guide. It's this right here. Catalyze and Imminent Destruction are so OP. You guys need to understand that Shattering Star is dead. Let me tell you guys. If you didn't see my last video where I was exposing Shattering Star players as well, Shattering Star does no damage. All right, like, it's a waste of a global. It does piss for damage. It's like a little Hawk Tua. Like, it does literally no damage. All right, it's a waste of a global. All it does is extend the next damage you do by 20% for 4 seconds. So essentially what you would do if you were running Shattering Star and if you were stuck in last expansion where you were Dragon Rage, Shattering Star, Eternity Surge, Ships of Scales, Fire Breath, right? That's essentially your 4 seconds of increased damage. That's all you would really have time for. But why that's so bad now, and the only reason why Coach JD even still wants to be playing is because he wants this Essence Burst, right? He wants an Essence Burst on demand, which basically means you get a Disintegrate on demand, right? But who cares about that? You know why? Because when you have Imminent Destruction, Deep Breath reduces the essence cost of Disintegrate and Pyro by 1 and increases their damage by 10% for the next 12 seconds after you land, which is super insane because essentially when you land, you could just start spamming out your Disintegrates. Why this has really good synergy is because when you're in Dragon Rage, if you cast an Azure Strike, it'll actually automatically give you a Essence Burst so that you could cast more Disintegrates. So the normal rotation that you would do is probably like your Dragon Rage, Shattering Star, Eternity Surge, Ship of Scales, Fire Breath, and then you probably want to like click 2 Azure Strikes and then start spamming your Disintegrates. You'll run out your Disintegrate really quickly, and then you have to spam more Azure Strikes. You'll have to cast more Disintegrates. By that point, you probably have your Eternity Surge and Fire Breath again. Then you'll have to cast more Azure Strikes to get more Essence Burst so that you have enough Essence to cast more Disintegrates again. So Azure Strike does no damage. Shattering Star does no damage. You're wasting all your time with that rotation just to do that, right? Now, when you play Imminent Destruction, you never have to cast Azure Strike because you have so much damage. So instead of wasting a global here to do 76,000 damage, even less than PvP, you could just be spamming a Disintegrate non-stop. And the way you're going to do that is by using the PvP talents down here, Nullifying Shroud and Obsidian Metal, and Unburdened Flight. I've pretty much been locking this in every single game unless it's a Resto Druid, and there's not many of them because there's no because Preservation Evoker is so overpowered. So Resto Druid's in a really bad spot, so you won't really see them, but if you do see them, I'd probably just drop my Nullifying Shroud. If it's double melee, if it's double caster, I'll probably do something like this. And that's the only time I really change my talents. That's the only really thing I'm doing. So I couldn't recommend that enough. And I'll go over in the burst rotation how to be playing this build, but this build is literally doing infinite amount more damage. If you didn't see my theorycrafting video on this where I exposed this Shattering Star and Arcane Vigor build, please go watch it. This is insane. And also notable to mention that you get the extra 10% damage on your Disintegrate here, plus the Melt Armor is also making your Essence abilities do more damage after you debuff for 12 seconds as well. So you're getting 30% more damage after you land from deep breath. So that's pretty insane as well. Just keep that in mind as well. And then, because you're spamming so many Disintegrates, your bombardments are going off even more. Then your cooldown to deep breath is going down even more. And I've just been completely farming the ladder. I've been farming every single evoker I've been seeing who's been deciding to go with the Shattering Star and Arcane Vigor. I actually laugh whenever I go against the evoker and see that they're still using Shattering Star. It's laughable to me. I'm telling you guys, stop playing it. This is the way to go. This is the only reason why I'm really making this PvP guide. So if you guys aren't listening to me, I don't know what else to tell you. Like that is what you need to do. All right. Now that you understand the talents of builds, let's go to the next section, which is going to be gearing. All right, for the gearing, to start off, I'm personally going to be wanting to run a 4-set. So the 4-set I'm personally going to be going with is the head, shoulders, legs, and chest. I don't have the head or chest yet because I got to wait for the catalyst charges, but that's personally what I'm going to want to do. Now, the reason for that, as we can see here, the helmet gives verse mastery, bis stats, shoulders give crit mastery, you have your mastery. I'm trying to mastery stack, so that's why I grabbed that. The legs also give me haste and mastery. So I want to grab that as well because I want the most amount of mastery as I possibly could. The chest gives me crit versatility. Crit isn't one of your bis stats, but versatility is. And then crit and haste are neither of your bis stats. So that's why I decided to go with the chest and then drop the gloves for our 4-set. Now, to compensate for the bad sets that you're going to be getting because you're going with the chest, what I'm going to personally be doing is crafting the rest of my gear. So every single piece I'm going to just be crafting, and yeah, crafting. That's how I'm going to plan on doing it. And what I want to do is just put verse mastery even on all of it. I just want to play around to get as much mastery as I possibly can. And yeah, that's how I plan to personally craft. I don't plan to buy pieces out of the conquest vendor anymore. I'm just going to craft it all and get the best stats as I possibly could and test that out. And again, I'm probably just going to make another PvP guide later on in the season on how you should be gearing if this ends up not being good. But that's personally how I want to gear. I have 4 evokers, so I have room for error. But, you know, that's personally how I want to gear. In terms of embellishments, what I want to do is craft the staff and then put the Dark Moon Ascension embellishment on that. And then on my gloves or any of the other pieces, probably just put the thing that doubles that Nerubian embellishment power so that you get a really beefy 24/7 extra secondary stat on your weapon, and that's going to be really good. I've played with all embellishments. Like I said, I have 4 evokers and I've tried different embellishments on all of them, and I must say the staff with the doubled power to it embellishment is going to be their best combination for Devastation Evoker. I really wanted this elemental focusing lens one to work out, but it just doesn't do enough damage. I've seen like frost mages and like shadow priests do insane damage with this. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the same effects for Devastation Evoker. It's actually pretty garbage, so don't play that. The versatility one is also pretty garbage. Don't play that. But that's what I could recommend. If there was something I was going to recommend you to play, if you didn't want to run the staff and the staff enhancer, then I would say to run the landmines. It seems pretty OP, and if I'm running the landmines, I probably run the versatility with it. But yeah, you don't really ever get targeted in the first place because you're so slithery and people don't like to chase you around and stuff like that, so you never really get low in the first place, and they normally keep killing your teammates. So I don't find a lot of value at that landmine, but I do find a lot of value of crafting the staff with the Dark Moon Ascension Sigil, and then craft the enhancer for that. That's going to be your best embellishments for Devastation Evoker to be the most optimal and best. When it comes to enchants and gemming, I'm actually going to pull up another dragon here. His name's Come Dragon. He's a rank 1 Devastation Evoker from last season. I personally can't afford to buy all my enchants and whatnot, gems, etc., because I'm too broke because I have too many alts. I have like 12 different alts. So I'm pulling up his because he's full pissed out. He's got the leg enchants with 747 intellect and 230 stamina. Make sure you don't buy the mana one. You don't need mana as a DPS. He has Defender's March on the boots, and what Defender's March does is give you 195 stamina, so that's really good. The boot enchant for speed sucks this expansion. It only gives you 200, so it's not worth considering you could get stamina. Definitely go with that. He's got haste enchants on his ranks. Me personally, as we see here, I have mastery, and then I'm also doing mastery gems, but like I said, it's purely preference. If you want to have a little bit more haste because it feels good, go for the more haste. Me personally, I want a full mastery stack. I just want to do the most damage as possible with the reverse execute mastery that we have, so you know, I'm going with just full on mastery. Over here we have the precog on his helmet. It doesn't matter where you put it. I have precog on my ring. You got the cloak and the wrist, and I actually have the same exact thing here. The reason for that, these are bloody tokens, and these are only things that you could get with mastery last week, so that's why I opted to get those as well. And then he's got the chant of burrowing rapidity for more speed. He's got the wrist enchant for more speed as well, and then he has the extra stamina buff chest enchant. So that's how you're going to want to enchant. I am not fully enchanted, so if you try to armory me, I have bad embellishments on and I have bad enchants on because I don't even have enchants on besides my legs. So that's why I'm pulling him up, just to show you guys how you should be enchanting and gemming. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole gearing guide of this video. Oh, one last thing I actually do want to point out. I do not recommend 4-set for everybody. If you are going to play this brainwash mind wash build of Coach JD, like I said, I don't recommend this build. And if you are going to play this build for whatever reason, play the 2-set because the stat loss is not going to be worth it. But again, if you are playing my build, play the 4-set. It's going to feel really nice when we get to the rotation part of the video, and I'll show you exactly why. And with that, let's move on to the next part of the video. Alright, next I'm going to show you guys some Evoker trade secrets. So first you're going to want to press escape, open up them options, and then at the top here, right turn. Shout out to Coach JD for teaching me this. I know I've been actually cloning him a lot in this video, but I actually love that guy. We're good friends. And he ended up teaching me this yesterday, so now I'm going to teach you guys as well. First, you want to look at the key bindings for turn left and turn right. So you want to put a second key bind here. This is probably empty for you. And personally, I move with Q, W, and E. You may move with WASD, so you want to put like an Alt A, Alt D there so that you could move. Me personally, I move with Q, W, and E, so it's Alt Q for me and Alt E. Once you do that, this is also by default probably set at like 5 and 5. You want to raise that all the way up to 10, just to give you more mobility there as well. So now I'm going to show you guys what a normal evoker deep breath looks like when they're using Scalecommander, and then I'm going to show you guys what it looks like after you enable these settings. So a normal evoker one is going to look like this probably. They're probably going to just send it. They're going to want to turn left, and then they want to maybe turn right. And that's pretty much your normal evoker deep breath. Not much mobility. I was complaining about this in beta. I was like, wow, I feel like Blizzard really debated me, telling me I have option to be steered in my desired direction, and I really actually don't, because I move mainly with my mouse as well. So if I was gonna really be zooming around, I'm gonna be zooming around looking like this, right? But you know, Blizzard doesn't let me actually do that. So when I learned about how to do it with this new way, with these new settings, I was very much more happier. So let me show you guys what that looks like. So now that my deep breath is off of cooldown, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it. All you have to do is press those new key bindings you set up when you're deep breathing, instead of just trying to maneuver with your mouse, and you're going to see how much better and how much more mobility you have. So I'm going to deep breath, and then I'm just going to press those buttons, and look at this, I could zigzag around. It's pretty insane. So I hope you like these settings. I definitely would recommend doing that. Alright, the next topic we're going to talk about is going to be clipping and chaining. And essentially what chaining and clipping means is each time you cast Disintegrate, there's actually 4 ticks of damage that comes out of it. So I'm going to cast a Disintegrate and just kind of show you guys what that looks like. So 1, 2, 3, and then lastly 4 is basically your damage ticks of Disintegrate. So essentially when you are chaining them together, what ends up happening is on that 3rd tick of Disintegrate, which is the 2nd line on the bar, you're actually going to want to press Disintegrate again so it goes into the next cast, and the last tick of Disintegrate is going to be included in with the next cast of Disintegrate. So essentially by doing this, you are able to get more of your damage out faster. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's doing more damage, it just means that the damage is coming out faster, which is super good when we talk about how to do damage. So I'm going to just show you what it looks like to chain it. So we have 2 ticks, and look at that, we click it there, and now we have successfully chained it, and that's how it would look if you were to have a weaker to show you that. So on to how to do damage. Alrighty, next we're going to talk about how to do damage as the Devastation Evoker with the build that I've provided you guys. So the damage rotation on this build is going to be a lot different than whether if you're going to be playing the Shattering Star Arcane Vigor Delusion build, as I like to call it. So if you're playing that, the rotation is different because obviously you don't have Shattering Star. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what you want to do with this build, and basically how to optimize imminent destruction paired with this melt armor here. So again, imminent destruction, after you land with your deep breath, you're going to want to be spamming Disintegrates because it's going to be doing 10% more damage. Paired up with this is going to be doing 30% more damage for the next 12 seconds that you land. So your Disintegrates are just going to be chonky. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. See, the normal damage rotation for evokers, if you guys are stuck in last expansion, would probably be something like sending the deep breath into a Dragon Rage, Shattering Star, Eternity Surge, Tip to Scales, Fire Breath, and spam Disintegrates. But now instead, because we are not running that build, we want to maximize that deep breath time. So we're actually going to pop Dragon Rage first, and then we're going to pop our Eternity Surge, Tip to Scales, Fire Breath into a deep breath because we want to maximize this imminent destruction, and then we're going to start spamming out our disintegrates, and you're going to see how well this synergizes, especially when you're talking about with the bombardments and the wing leader here reducing your cooldown, and then again with these essence abilities extending the bombardments by 1 second. So the fact that I never have to cast an Azure Strike during my Dragon Rage period, and that I never have to cast a Shattering Star, just means I'm casting more and more disintegrates, and you guys are going to see before my Dragon Rage even ends, I'm likely going to have my deep breath back, and that's so OP, especially in the PvP environment, because imagine you are in an arena, right, and you're like in a soloshuffle, right, and you normally get like a 2-minute go and a 1-minute go, and then at the next 2-minute go, that's pretty much how the game ends, right? That's soloshuffle for you, right? But instead, now you're getting 30-second goes in between your Dragon Rages. It's absolutely busted, absolutely broken. Devastation Evoker is absolutely S tier. Let me show you guys how to do this burst rotation. Alright, so to start doing damage with the build I provided, we're going to start off with the burst rotation, and then we're just going to talk about how to do your sustain rotation after that. But to start off with the burst rotation, essentially what I like to do is make myself turn into God mode. The way you're going to do that is pop Nullifying Shroud and Obsidian Scales. This means you won't be able to get kicked, and you won't be able to get CC'd, like I mentioned in the PvP talent part of the video. The reason why you want to do this is you want to make sure you get to maximize those 12 seconds of complete chaos of an imminent destruction. You want to just be spamming those disintegrates. You don't want to get kicked, or else this build's going to feel really bad if you do. So you want to make sure you protect yourself before going for that deep breath. And then to start off as well, we're going to be popping Dragon Rage first instead, and then Eternity Surge, Tip to Scales, Fire Breath. The reason you want to do this is because you want to trigger out those mass disintegrates before you send the deep breath in to then land and then spam the imminent destruction disintegrates mixed with the melt armor disintegrates. You're going to see you're going to be absolutely melting. Now you may say, well, then you won't be able to profit off of this tyranny talent. Trust me, it's okay. We're only taking this here so that we could get down to Onyx Legacy. We no longer care about this, unfortunately, with this build. But it is what it is. It's way better than having one Shattering Star on demand, right? Why have one Essence Burst on demand with Shattering Star when you could just infinitely spam disintegrates? Like, it's so much better. And now you have like a really strong 30-45 second go in arenas, compared to when you have the Shattering Star go. It really doesn't feel like it does much, to be honest. But this is so much noticeable mid-game in arena. Like, you're gonna see once you start playing this build, you're never gonna go back to this fake copium that they're trying to sell you on over here. But again, like I said, you throw that Nullifying Shroud up, you throw that Obsidian Scales up, now you're in God mode. You cannot be stopped. So then you're gonna pop your Dragon Rage into an Eternity Surge, Tip to Scales, Fire Breath, and then you're going to fly over it, and then you're going to start just spamming your disintegrates, right? As soon as you just start spamming your disintegrates, you're going to see, now I need some essence, pop the Living Flame proc there, and then just keep spamming them. Keep spamming them. You see I'm chaining them all together, just doing the absolute most damage. Here I'm going to want to increase my Dragon Rage duration by simply casting an Empower spell. So that's what that Rigor is. I finally need to cast my first little thing there. And as we could see, I already have Dragon Rage back. So we pop our Dragon Rage, and look, we could keep going. Like, this is so busted. Look, we could make it a Mass Disintegrate there again, and then we could just keep spamming again. Like, it's so crazy. So crazy. I'm doing a sustained 1.3 mil while talking it through with you guys. So that's how I've been personally playing every single arena game, every single battleground, whatever I'm doing in PvP. That is literally my rotation. It's been more than amazing. And then because you're getting these 30 to 45 second goes now, I found that I get like 2 or 3 deep breaths in before my next Dragon Rage, which is so OP, considering like now you have like real mini goes, instead of just waiting around for your next Dragon Rage. Like now you could really make an impact in games more than ever. So Devastation is just in a really good spot, guys. It really is. So that's really how I'm doing damage. Now let me show you guys the weak auras I'm using to track my damage. So the weak auras I'm using are as follows. The way I like to do it is I made like a little custom group for myself, and then I put all my things I track for Evoker up in there. So basically I have Renewing Blaze, I have Obsidian Metal, so I can see the timers on those and know how long I have left. I have a hover timer here as well. I have a recall timer here as well, so I know how much longer I have before I have to press recall or else I lose it. Then I have my iridescence blue proc, my iridescence red proc, so I know when I'm going to do 20% more damage with either a red or a blue spell. I have my imminent destruction, so I see how long I have left. I have my dragon reach, I can see how long I have left before I need to cast an empower spell. Then I have my living flame procs here, so I know when I can just send a free one pretty easily. So that's kind of what I track on my weak auras. And then my cast bar is actually in a weak aura also that changes your cast bar to this cast bar here, which I personally love for Evoker. So that, yeah, that's kind of like my weak auras and what I've been using for Devastation specifically. So just in case that sparked up any ideas, I'm probably going to make a Discord which you guys could all join, and then I'm going to try to figure out a way that I could like just post them specifically, maybe post my whole profile in there so you guys could play. And yeah, and it'll just help build a little community here for the channel. So that is on the radar, so stay tuned for that. It's probably going to get posted in the description once it's ready, but it's probably going to happen sometime this week if you guys are looking to have my exact export. But yeah, it's fully custom, except for the fact that I found this Evoker cast bar on the weak aura website. But other than that, I pretty much did all the rest of these myself, so I really like it. Alright, next we're going to talk about the macros. The macros I've been using are extremely important, so I'm going to run through them and their scenarios, and why you want to have these types of macros. So like I said before, doing damage as Evoker is super easy. I'm literally spamming Disintegrate. Literally, like, people will complain before in Dragonflight, all you do is press one button. Now I literally only press one button. That's what I like to tell people when I'm playing Imminent Destruction. But yeah, talking about the macros, we have here, the first one I'm going to show you guys is Wing Buffet and Tail Swipe, and I guess we'll throw Quell in there. What you want to macro this in with is stop casting, because let's say like a druid runs on top of you and they're trying to clone you, and let's say you're like in the middle of a Disintegrate cast here, you're going to want to like walk over there and knock them over and stop your cast. Other than that, you're just going to be like stuck in the cast and stuck in that global, and it's going to feel really bad when they get that clone off of you. So having a stop cast on that ability makes it feel so much better. The same thing with quells and your tail swipes. After that, I have my stop casting on my Azure Strike. Why I like doing that is because that's how I personally try to fake kicks. So if I'm casting sleep and I need a fake a duff, fake a fade, I'll just basically be doing this, and I just press the Azure Strike and then I fake it. So that's personally how I want to do it. And if I ended up double spamming it, it's okay. It's just an Azure Strike. It's not going to do anything. So yeah, I find that very effective. After that, then I have one for Time Spiral, because when I need a Time Spiral, I need it now. So if I'm in the middle of Disintegrate and I need a Time Spiral, I need it now. Stop the cast on that. Same thing, Renewing Blaze. Same thing with Obsidian Scales. If I need it now. All these abilities, when you need it now. So if in case you're ever in the middle of a cast, it automatically stops it and you could just get them off now. A Pressing Roar as well. Let's say like you see like a hunter throws a trap, right? Where the hunter's going to stun, and then you know he's about to throw a trap. But maybe you're in the middle of a Disintegrate, but you see that you want to pressing it, but you can't because you're in the middle of that cast. So having that macro where it will just stop it and do it, so good. I use frame sort, so that's what all these A1, A2, A3s are. So basically I also frame sort myself for the healers always to be A1. So I really like that, because in my head there's no brain lag. I could just press A and I know I'm kicking a healer. I could just press Z and I know I'm sleeping a healer. So I absolutely love that. I have a living flame macro so I could heal myself without having to target myself, because it is a damage and a heal, so I need that. Rescue with the stop casting, because when you need a rescue, you need to do it now before you die. Same thing over to embrace. If I want to kite, I want it now. And then the last one is going to be tip to scales. For tip to scales fire breath, that's also very, very important, so that if you just cast tip to scales by itself, it could actually get purged. So you want to put it in a macro so that it comes out with the same global, so that it can't get purged. So that's really important. And also, let's go back on this obsidian scales macro. I forgot to mention that I actually have this reset to obsidian scales 5 thing going on here. What that does is basically it doesn't allow you to spam the obsidian scales. Like if you keep trying to press it, it won't let you do it until after 5 seconds. That's just like to prevent you from double pressing 2 and wasting 2 of your charges there. So you want to make sure to run a macro like that so you don't accidentally double spam 2 walls and waste 2 walls. You could actually do the same thing with hovers. You could do that, use that same macro for your hover if you want to make sure you don't double spam your hovers and waste seconds, because every second matters, especially when you're trying to climb the rating. So yeah, that's essentially my macros that I definitely would recommend you guys to play with. And yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That'll be my entire PvP guide. If you guys have any questions, make sure to drop by on my stream. I'll answer them live or leave comments below. So if you're looking for my stream, again, it'll be a link in the description, but it's Disintegon TTV. And also, just make sure you drop that like, follow, and subscribe. It'll help me out a bunch, especially if you're looking to find more Devastation Evoker content in the future, or Evoker content for that nature, because I play a lot of augmentation too. So yeah, thanks guys again for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.